Hi friends, we're off here again, Louisville ProActivist Report. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about human trafficking today, so it's a very underrepresented topic in the media. So with that, I have a very special guest. I'm here with Amy Leenerts of Free2Hope here in Louisville, and so we're going to get into all of that today. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about it. Free2Hope, you're here helping people who are having issues with human trafficking. I don't know, I don't want to say survivors, which may be the case, but maybe not always.
Yeah.
So that's a very powerful thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
So let's just kind of start from the beginning. You could be doing anything with your life right now, but you're here, working hard to help people out. So how did you get to this point? What inspired you to do this?
If I'm completely honest, and I will be, of course, I would say it's because of the things that happened to me early in childhood and my early adulthood. It took me until I was close to 40 to start to heal from any of it, and it was a hard process to go through. But in the end, after I did, it really gave me a desire to change something, to maybe be that person that wasn't there for me, to try to fill in the blanks, to help women that are, in a really bad state. And that's what just continues to give me the motivation to go forward and to push harder to get more done.
Nice. So that eventually led to you founding Free2Hope.
Yes.
So how long has Free2Hope been around?
Free2Hope has been around for 7 years now, almost 7 years. We started out really small. Obviously, I started out with sort of an awareness kind of campaign. I was working full-time for the first 3 years. Mm-hmm. Started doing educational things all over the state. That kind of added on after the awareness, and then we added on after that doing some outreaches, larger outreaches and smaller outreaches, which I've enjoyed quite a bit. We also added on a business program where businesses can put the sticker on their front windows, and it tells a little bit about trafficking and gives the hotline number to call if they think there's an issue. And then 2 years ago, it was time to open a drop-in center, which I felt was one thing that was definitely missing in the Louisville area.
This is the only one, right?
There are drop-in centers for homeless women. There are probably a couple of others, but this is really only the specific one that is here for trafficking victims or women that are possibly involved in prostitution, which probably go back and forth in victimhood, at least by the law. So yeah, I think we're kind of pretty much on our own in this. Yes.
Okay. So now you've got this new location here in Portland.
Yes.
So talk about it. What made you want to put it here, and talk about the building itself a little bit.
Okay. I guess it's been a little over a year now, finally decided that we needed to get out of the borrowed property that we kept getting to run an outreach. We didn't feel with the first place we were at that we were really in the right area of town where we needed to be. So we used another property, a church that's close by to where we are now, and we absolutely fell in love with Portland. I think it's a really neat area. There's a lot of women that are in a whole lot of need here, so it became very apparent that this was going to be a good place for us. So started figuring out, making sure, Free2Hope was sovereign enough to go ahead and buy a place. We have a loan, we didn't, outright purchase it, but looked around for a long time trying to find that perfect place and walked into this one, and I really felt it was the right place. We paid a little bit more because we thought it was in better shape than a lot of them here, which are, in really bad shape. I figured, on a personal level, I didn't have enough time and money to put into just totally rebuilding a place. So I wanted one that was in decent shape. Found it wasn't quite as decent as we had thought, but
it never is, right?
Yeah, I know. So I spent the next, 8 months after that fixing the place up.
Okay.
I did have some groups that came in and helped as well, and that was awesome. Still have a tiny bit of work that needs to be done, but pretty much it's done, and after we got the city papers, for our CUP, which lets us operate here, we were open the next Monday, and haven't looked back. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We love the space. It's kind of funny though, we're already outgrowing in a way. I don't know how to alleviate that at all, but I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what we'll do about that. We have cooks that come in every Wednesday for our big program day.
Oh, nice.
And that's when, we can have 13 to 14 women in here on that day.
Oh, great.
And it's always interesting. You never know what's going to happen day to day and sometimes hour to hour. There is such a great need here in Portland for all kinds of things. We have a lot of women, men as well, but I focus only on women. Mm-hmm. But we have a lot of women that live in abandoned houses. Probably the majority of ours do.
Oh, wow.
Actually, very few of them have a place that they live at, that you'd call a home, apartment, or otherwise. So they need everything, They come in, they usually eat lunch. I'll have some kind of food here that the cooks left or that I've made, once I got here. They'll want to take a shower often, and we have all the stuff so that they can take a shower. We have a washer and dryer, so if they want to trade a set of clothes, then we'll wash and dry the clothes that they're wearing, and then they can come in a few days later and do the same process again.
Okay.
Now, if there's a woman who needs some kind of services outside of what we can do, we set those things up for them as well. Housing or any number of things there could be a need for. And those are things that we connect them to.
Okay.
We want to be that sort of that in-between person, that's going to help to connect them to whatever it is to make their life better, and what they want it to be. So we get victims that are victims right away that come in and, it's kind of a dangerous situation. It can be at times. And then you get victims that, don't even know they're victims. You get women that, like I said, that are involved in prostitution, but often a lot of them actually are trafficked. They just don't even realize it.
Right.
So.
Now, you talk about the danger a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you had to deal with any kind of threats, any kind of issues?
Nothing major. I don't want to say it's never on my mind. Sometimes because I am here 4 days a week by myself, when we're open. But so far I haven't had any big trouble, and hopefully we'll keep it that way.
Right.
I do have neighbors that are really kind and nice, and I think keep an eye out for me, as much as they can. Yeah, definitely. Kind
of like a block watch type of situation.
Yeah,
that's good. That's
absolutely
important too.
It is,
especially for anybody that comes here. They're trying to get away from something.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And of course, we don't let men in here. Well, you're an exception today. You should feel quite proud of yourself. Exactly. But we don't let men in here. That keeps down, obviously, on the drama, and that's not who we're here for. So,
right.
Definitely.
Now, do you have anybody that stays here long term or anything, or is it just kind of an overnight situation at most, or?
Well, we don't even offer that at this point. Right now, we're just the drop-in center. We're here Monday through Friday, 10 to 2. Mm-hmm. She can come in and get whatever these kind of services. We also do art projects. I forgot to mention that on Wednesdays. We have some really cool ones all around.
These some of the ones on the wall behind us?
Yeah, back here, back there. There's some in the other room. It's kind of, you get it. Pretty soon, I think all my walls will be plastered.
I'd show them off, but I don't want to mess with our camera angle
exactly,
here.
Exactly.
That's nice. So, how do these women find out about this place? How do they know to come here?
Well, like I said, we were at another place here in Portland, so we were starting to get people that knew who we were and what we do. But there's a whole underground communication kind of thing that goes on with people, that are homeless. I mean, they know. Yeah, definitely, definitely word of mouth.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, where do you see Free2Hope going in the future?
When I first started Free2Hope, I had I had to start somewhere, so I started what I thought was the beginning. And I had always seen maybe in the future having somewhere a restorative type of place, way outside the city with horses and all that good stuff.
Nice.
Not that I've given up on that dream, but I'm enjoying where I'm at right now, and I'm realizing that there's other groups coming in that can probably do that really well, so I'm going to stick with what I'm doing well, and, I don't know where it'll take me. I mean, I'm always amazed where I've gotten with it, so.
Right.
Definitely. We'll just see. I'll keep doing this, and, I think we're actually making a difference, so I'm good with that.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the subject of human trafficking in general a little bit. Obviously you're on the front lines, you see what's going on. So what are the types of things you're hearing? What are some of the factors, and some of the things that people are dealing with?
Okay. And it also depends on what kind of trafficking you're talking about. Obviously, down here in Portland is going to look different than the East End. It's going to, obviously in the East End there's going to be more money involved. Down here in Portland, probably less. Down here specifically, you're going to, kids grow up and their families have very little money. They have to fight for everything. It's a much different lifestyle down here, the way things go. There's the drug abuse here now is just off the charts, absolutely off the charts. That's going to often lead into trafficking, or that could have been because of trafficking, or prostitution. You don't know. You can't really separate it.
So are you seeing like opioid addiction, fentanyl?
Yes, that and some other ones, which, I had not heard of before, Flakka and some other things.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's probably the cheaper drugs are down here. The majority of them are the cheaper drugs.
Meth and stuff like that.
Heroin and yeah, and it's big here. I mean, it really is, and you can usually spot it. And somebody's welcome to come in here as long as they're not outrageous. Obviously, I can't have that, but
right.
But I want them to feel like they have somewhere that they can belong and get some food and get cleaned up, and hopefully one of these times they're going to make that choice to maybe talk to us about going to a place to get clean. So many of the women here specifically, and this happens everywhere, but so many of the women here specifically have had such horrible abuse done to them for so long that it becomes a very commonplace thing for someone to victimize you. You don't even really see it as being a victim anymore, because it just is. And so many of those kind of factors go into somebody, becoming, not just a victim of child sexual abuse, but then moving on, to rape. And then, when a woman's homeless, she's raped and beat repeatedly by random strangers. So it's a tough life from the very beginning normally. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime.
I guarantee. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. I've had my struggles in life, but that's a whole nother level there. I don't even want to think about
Right.
what that would
Definitely.
be. But I am grateful that there's somebody like you.
Thank you.
Trying to help
Thank
people
you.
out. It's very important for the community. So, now, just how prevalent do you think human trafficking is here in Louisville in general, in the state of Kentucky?
Well, I know it is. I know it's very prevalent. It's hard to put some kind of number on it. I mean, you'll never be able to do that. There's so many different kinds of trafficking. They won't all be included in one area ever. You've got juvenile, which, is obviously even more extreme. You've got juveniles that run away from areas that end up, here. You've got labor trafficking, which is something I don't even necessarily deal with. There's what was your question again? I totally got off subject.
Just how prevalent it is here.
Prevalent. You'll never figure out the numbers, but you can ride down the street and I can show you several people right away that need help, that are involved in one way or another. It's just and I can go in the East End and show you places too. So it's happening everywhere, and it's very prevalent. And if we don't somehow get a hold of it, we're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah. Is that, I've talked to people, and, a lot of people seem to think I-65 is pretty much like a trafficking corridor that...
Well, it makes sense. I mean, you just have to think logically, and there's all kinds of hotels. You get in and out of town, and it depends on what kind of trafficking you're talking about in that situation. But yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. And where we're centered in the, kind of the center of the United States on one side. So you got Florida down here, which obviously you're going to have a whole lot of trafficking down there, and all the way up into Ohio and all, which is a really big one as well. So people are passing through constantly.
Yeah, Texas too. I don't know how much they pass through here. Maybe a different route.
Right.
So do you think it's getting worse?
Yeah, I think it's getting a whole lot worse. Yeah. Definitely. Well, with the drugs as well, that's fueling it, making it worse.
So. So what do you think, the government can do to step in and kind of tackle this problem? Obviously you fight the drug addiction, but there's got to be more to it than just that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things you have to do. You have to make sure that, and how you do these things, I don't know. It's too big for my brain, but you have to kind of ensure that women can grow up and not be, abused, not be sexually abused, not get that in their head. You can ensure that kids grow up and have meals to eat all the time, and they don't live in complete squalor, that their parents are with them, and these things are all horribly hard to figure out. There's not something you can really mandate,
right?
But that's the only way these things are going to change, that and the whole addiction thing, piece of it. So it's big.
It is. There's a lot of issues in society, and I think there's some obvious answers to a lot of them, whereas this one is one that just puzzles me. I think there's a long road to hoe with this, and there's a lot of factors to it, and I don't see a simple solution, and I don't see anything coming up real soon, but we kind of got to plug away at all aspects of it, and hopefully we'll figure it out down the line.
One thing the government really could help with, though, is different services. I mean, we need more services for women. We need more services for families, to try and get them out of these situations, to try and intervene before these happen. There's all kinds of ways it can go with it. Definitely, that the government could help, which would be good.
Well, let's talk about the media a little bit. I know we had talked about this a little bit previously off camera, but this is something that's not covered a whole lot in media. I have seen here in the last 2-3 years a lot of news clips about human trafficking suspects going to court, victims found, this and that, but they really don't get into the topic itself. They just kind of report, hey, here's this guy that we caught trafficking some humans, and then that's it. They don't want to delve into this issue. But on the other hand, it is good to see they're at least talking about these things now, even if it's not done in maybe the most complete way. So what do you think kind of is bringing about this media coverage where it wasn't there before?
I guess what I believe is that it's becoming so much more prevalent that the news media is always, of course, on whatever's new and whatever's going on. So I think that's why they're reporting on it to some extent. I think we have our investigators now, at least here in Kentucky, are pretty cool. They're really getting a lot of these bad guys when they can, and putting them away, which it's taken Kentucky a long time to get here. So I think it's as soon as we have some arrests, as soon as we have some convictions, and we have there was a judge here in Kentucky that was convicted. I mean, there's just all kinds of stories that will blow your mind, and that's why it's being reported more, I think.
You think our state's taking it seriously now?
I think we're starting to.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And, police are better trained in it than they were, several years ago, and they're treating the women, as they should be treated instead of, as criminals. Right.
Now, is there anything that you'd like to see from mainstream media as far as tackling human trafficking?
Yeah, there is one thing, I think, in regards to a couple of different things. First of all, when doing stories on human trafficking, I think reporters have to be really careful to not make it about the person that they're talking about, you know, to not try and figure out their story and then report on it when they may not have the whole story.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, what I've always said is whatever it is I do with Free2Hope, you know, wherever it goes from here, you know, it's got to be about more than me, you know, because if it's not, you know, I'm not young. But my whole point is to make it about the subject matter more so, to make it about the strides, you know, that are happening and the future. You know, those are the things that really matter to me long term.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, is there anything else you want to talk about with human trafficking that we haven't covered so far?
Gosh.
Or with Free2Hope itself?
I don't know. I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. Well, we can wrap it up then. So yeah, just you know, let people know how to find you online, how they can, you know, maybe donate, contact you, or if they need your services, how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. We have a website which is free2hope.org, and that's FREE, the number 2, HOPE.org. You're welcome to go on there, and there's all kinds of things you can see of what we do, how we do it, and you know, you can request more information, whatever.
And I'll link that in the description as well.
Okay. We're on Facebook. We have Free2Hope Drop-In Center, and we have Free2Hope on Facebook, Instagram. I don't know, maybe somewhere else too. I don't know. But you can also call the number 502-475-0555 if there's an emergency or you need help or something to that effect.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think it's amazing what you're doing here in the community. Long overdue, and I'm really thankful that you're here working on this. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For everybody that's watched this far, thank you so much for watching and learning. Share this out. This is independent, not-for-profit media. The only way you can help me out is by sharing, liking, commenting, boosting those algorithms, you know, spreading the word out. Again, this is a subject that isn't covered very much, so definitely get this out to people. You know, press all those appropriate buttons. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys soon with the next episode, and always think critically.